just want to wish you a very warm welcome and thank you for coming out to the class of 2019 Senior Parent College and Career Information Night. I'm so happy that you all were able to come tonight. We have a great program planned for you. My name is Erin Crowley. I'm the Director of Student Services here, and I was a Hayfield graduate. Recently now, it's about almost 18-ish years ago, I guess, class of 02. So anyway, my family and I have been where you all are sitting tonight, and we're just so happy to be here to support you all. Quick show of hands, how many of you have seniors now that, listen, these are your oldest kiddos, your first time having seniors? Awesome. Great, great. And how many of you, this will be your second or third go-around? All right, newbies, look around. Veteran, just keep your hands up, look around. Know that we're all here for each other, we're all here for you. And so you've got a big support system in the teachers, administration, counseling, student services staff, and each other. I now have a 2-year-old, she just turned 2, and all I can say is, bow down to all of you. You've raised wonderful children, and it's been a fun ride. Please continue to enjoy the ride, even as we're working to help all of our students ultimately flee the nest, so to speak. Real quick, I'd love to introduce our counseling staff. We have, as you know, our counselors are last names, so you can just go ahead and wave, and they'll be here throughout the night. So when we have our break, or throughout, you're welcome to ask questions. So last names with A through BRI is Miss Kelly Sonic in Madison Hall, and BRO through E is our recently joined counselor, Miss Joanna Park, and F through HO, Mr. Eric Williams. HU through MV, another new addition, the one from Ms. Alam Asefa. And returning for year 2 at Hayfield, MC through PD, Mr. Enrique Fernandez. And Mr. Gil Hong is PE through SO. And last but not least, Mr. Corey Gilmore, SP through Z. And I would be remiss if I didn't introduce the real architects and superstars of the evening they've put on. They've done a great job putting on a wonderful program for you. Our new position is a special projects counselor, so you might all know Miss Meredith Ayala. And last but not least, our amazing College and Career Center specialist, Miss Amy Ferguson. Well deserved, well deserved. So with that, we just have a couple guests we'd also like to bring up for a few announcements, and then we will proceed with our program. So from our all-night grad party committee, we have Miss Andrea Garola and Elka McLaren. Thank you.
Hi, so this is my 4th and last graduate. So all of you newbies, you can do it. So 4th time around, we're going to make it. So we are with the all-night grad party, and every year a team of senior parents and with junior parents, if they so wish, or anybody else, get together and plan an event for our children to keep them off the road, because years past there's been problems with drinking and driving, celebrating, and not making it home. So we are getting together to give them a safe and fun-filled environment to celebrate their achievement and be free of drugs and alcohol, and to celebrate with all their friends. So we are taking these children to Adventure Park up in Maryland on the night of June 7th. So after we graduate and go out to dinner, and then we board a bus and drive them all up and lock them up in this indoor adventure park, kind of amusement park setting. And it's been going on for a few years, going up there, and the kids have a really good time. So we wanted to tell you a few things about our group. We have a website. If you Google us, For HSS ANGP, we have a link on the PTSA site, and that should bring you to our site, and all our information is there. Really quick. We also have an email address. It's 2019angp@gmail.com. And so to get to Adventure Park costs a lot of money. We have to raise at least $10,000 between now and end of May to get all this done. So we have a lot of fundraisers going on. We would love volunteer help at manning our stations or helping with some of our fundraising events. We have a couple online events with Schwann's and Shutterfly, so if you're ordering holiday cards, we have paperwork out there that has our link, so please stop by. We have a lovely blanket that we have 2 styles available. It's going to be monogrammed with an H on the corner, and then it's a little hot for that right now, but it is very cozy. And then we have a style that just has the H, or we have Class of 2019 embroidered on it. Small embroidery in the corner. There you go, on the black, yeah. So those should be in a couple weeks. With the Class of 2019 is $45, without it is $40, so we can pre-order tonight. That's the picture of it. Then we also have class of magnets for all of the classes of high school. So 2022, 2021, 2020, and then 2019. 2019 we have black and white, and the others we just have the white. What else? We have flocking, where we give a contribution to 2019 ANGP, and they go to your friends and family or your house if you have someone having a special occasion, and flock your yard, and then they come and pick it up. So it's just a festive event. And then, what else do we have? I already said the online, and then the raffle ticket. And then we have our 50-50 raffle that we're going to be drawing very soon. So if you want to get a last-minute ticket to join, that would be great. So like I said, we have volunteers. We have a sign-up sheet outside. You can get on our mailing list to know what events are coming up. And we also have a Facebook group called Hayfield SS All-Night Grad Party. All right? If there's any questions, you guys please stop by our table. We would love to talk to you.
The quickest way to get the information is we send out a lot of emails and we post it on Facebook. We also send a couple things through Keep in Touch, but to keep up to date, go ahead and give us your email, and we'll be sure to get the information a lot quicker.
Okay. And if it's swamped up there for some reason, you can just send us an email to that email address, and we can add you as well. All right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next we have our lovely editor-in-chief, Miss Emma Andres from the Hayfield Yearbook.
Hi guys, I'm Emma. I'm with the Yearbook, and I'm here to remind you guys all that the senior ads are due October 14th, which is really soon, and that the space is limited, so that you should buy your senior ads as soon as possible. We're going to be in the front lobby until 7 p.m., so make sure you come stop by. You can do them online, and while you're online, make sure you buy your yearbook. The prices are going to go up October 1st. Currently, they're $65, so make sure you do them as soon as possible. If you have any questions, our email address is on the form that we gave you. If you weren't handed a form as you guys walked in, you can pick one up on your way out.
Thank you so much. So without further ado, Miss Meredith Ayala is going to get up and talk to you about our senior program that we've had going on.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This week, or last week actually, all of your seniors came in, and hopefully they told you, all of your seniors came into the auditorium, and we did a similar presentation with them on all the options after high school, and where they stand now, kind of what's going to be happening during their senior year. So after this evening tonight, if they are not sitting right beside you, definitely go home and have that conversation, because you're going to see similar information, just because we want to make sure everybody's on the same page. So that happened last week, and then beginning this week, actually today was the first day, counselors are having individual senior meetings with each of their students through their government classes. So a couple things are covered during these individual senior meetings. They first are going to go over graduation requirements and where your student stands as far as what they need to do to cross the stage June 7th. Okay? What credits they may need to pass, what classes they need to pass, if there's any outstanding verified credits, SOLs, and CTE credential. So they will go over that with each of their students in an individual meeting. During that meeting, they're going to sign a graduation notification agreement. Maybe a little bit difficult to see, but they're going to sign that graduation notification agreement, and that outlines just that. The classes that they need to pass, any SOLs that are outstanding, as well as any comments or notes as far as the year. So your student will sign that form, the counselor will sign that form, they will get a copy at that meeting, and then we will keep a copy as well, and a copy is mailed home, okay? So that everybody is on the same page as far as what needs to happen this year, okay, to get to that point. The other then part of that meeting is talking about post-secondary goals. And the point of this evening, obviously, is we're reviewing or going over that there's not just one path for everybody. There are many, many options as far as what you can do after high school. So they're going to talk at that meeting about what those post-secondary goals are and how to get there and to help them get there. So that's taking place at those individual senior meetings. There's a couple people to know here at Hayfield. There's a lot more than this, but obviously the seniors are going to work very, very closely with their school counselors this year. Okay, so no matter what that plan is, I always want my seniors to have a plan of some sort for further education or training or work, something, right? So they're going to work very closely with their school counselor, as well as Mrs. Ferguson in the Career Center, who is an incredible wealth of knowledge as far as anything college and career related, okay? Mrs. Young, and you're actually going to have the opportunity to hear from Mrs. Young at the end of the program. She's a parent as well of a senior and a couple graduates, but she's our transcript secretary. So when we're talking later about sending out those transcripts and the importance of deadlines, so once the counselor does what they need to do, we have one transcript secretary that's sending out those college transcripts, and that's Mrs. Young. So we'll talk about why those deadlines are so important as well. Ms. Rousey is our financial aid champion. So she is a guru of everything, so knowledgeable as far as financial aid and filling out the FAFSA. And we're going to talk about that as well. So she is available beginning October in the Career Center every SOAR period, okay? So if your student needs help filling out the FAFSA, if you need help filling out the FAFSA, once those financial aid letters come back, if you need help understanding what it means, she is in the Career Center every SOAR period. So every other day, you can email her, and you have her contact information. There's a flyer in your packet. You can set up a meeting with her as well. So there's a lot of resources here at the school to help you through this process. So options after high school. Real quick, I would love for Kevin Holmes and Crystal Thrower just to come on up while I talk for a minute. So we decided when we were doing this parent night in the past, it's been very heavy college focused for that 4-year school. We realized that there are other options available to our students. There's apprenticeships available, military, year up. So tonight what we've decided to do is offer some different programs so you can learn about the other options the different options that are available. So what's going to happen in just a couple of minutes after Mrs. Ferguson shows you a resource for everybody, so we're going to take a small break, and Ms. Thrower and Mr. Holmes, as well as the military recruiters and NOVA and Pathway, are going to go to the library, okay, and speak a little bit more about those programs. And then in here, we're going to have really concentrate on the four-year school as well as Pathway and Nova. But what I wanted to do is have them give a 60-second blurb about their program so you can just hear from them really quickly.
Hi, good evening. I'm Crystal Thrower. I've been in your shoes 3 times, and I've got 2 more to go. I'm the apprenticeship consultant for Northern Virginia. There are 13 of us in the state. We help your student get middle skills training. If they are not college bound or they're not really sure, but they would like to go into a career that necessarily does not require a 4-year degree, I am the person that will help them get the training that they need, and we build the training for the companies where they will work. When you become a registered apprentice, you're already employed. One mom already asked me, would you have a job? Yes, you start the first day with a job. And in our session, we'll talk about that and how we assist the students in getting hired.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Holmes, and I serve as the recruitment manager for Year Up National Capital Region. Year Up, we are a workforce development and job training program focusing in areas of cybersecurity, information technology, as well as business. We have a great partnership with Northern Virginia Community College. We're currently at the Woodbridge campus of Nova. We'll be opening another site at the Alexandria campus of Nova in the spring, where we will pay for 30 college credits applicable to your student's associate's degree, provide them with a paid internship with a Fortune 1000 company. At the end of this year-long experience and journey with us, those students on average make about $27 an hour graduating from our program, or they go on to complete their associate's degree as well. I have information at the table in the lobby. I look forward to meeting you all in the library to tell you more about us. And if you have a student that, they may be interested in technology, but not necessarily understanding how to apply theory to practice, Europe is a great gateway to a career path, and also teaching them the professional skills they need to be successful. So thank you so much for having me here this evening, and good luck on your senior year journey.
Thank you so much. So there are numerous opportunities. We saw first what kind of the old school was, go to college, climb the corporate ladder. That's what we thought everyone had to do. But there are so many different opportunities that are available. Both of these sessions are being videotaped and will be available online as well, just so you're aware of that piece. I'm going to turn it over to Amy Ferguson, who's going to talk about some of the resources available for all your students and for you.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, I am that Amy Ferguson that blows up your inbox, the one and only. So we talked to your students last week about all of the things that we talked about so far, and one of the things that we reminded them about, which is something that we tell them every time we see them, is this fantastic tool that we have called Naviance Student. You may remember its previous iteration. It used to be called Family Connection. It's the same resource, they just changed the name and completely changed the look, which means I had to re-record every YouTube video I've ever made about how to use the website, which I did. So if you go to my YouTube channel, it's on I think the second page of your handouts, because we know your kids are on YouTube, because my teenager's on YouTube. YouTube.com/Hayfield Career Center. There are some videos on there that show you how to do some of the stuff I'm going to show you tonight. So don't feel like you have to try to take notes. You can watch it at home. One of the things that they did when they redesigned Naviance Student was that they made it a lot more mobile friendly. So it's a lot easier for students to use it on their phones, because we know that's always attached to one of the hands. They can also use it on a laptop as well. And I'm going to demonstrate how to use it on a laptop tonight, but just know that it is available on mobile. And I do have one video on my YouTube channel that shows you how to sign up for a college visit using your mobile phone, or how to sign up using your computer. So I have 2 videos on there about that. So the way that you access Naviance Student is through Blackboard. How many of you all have a parent Blackboard account? Great, so if you've got a parent Blackboard account, you should see a little logo somewhere on there, and I have not seen it redesigned this year. But there should be a logo on there that says Naviance Student. When you click on that, it takes you to this screen. Your student also accesses it through their student Blackboard page. There is a Blackboard, there's a little Naviance Student logo, and that's how they get there. You cannot do as many things in Naviance Student as your student. For instance, I think you can view which colleges are coming to visit Hayfield, but you can't sign your kid up. They have to sign up in their student account. So sometimes I'll have parents call me and say, I'm trying to sign up. Well, that's because your student is the one coming, so I need to make sure that they know that they're signing up for that visit. So I'm just going to show you two brief things. One is, in this colleges section, if you go down to research colleges and college visits, this shows you all of the colleges and universities that are visiting Hayfield this fall. I'm going to be a very busy woman because I host every single one of these. So let's say that your student is interested in learning more about Elizabethtown College. They can click View Details and register. And when they do that, you'll notice down here, this is the screenshot that they're going to print, and now they've got their own pass. They don't have to come see me for a pass. They've got it themselves. If you don't have a printer at home or your printer's malfunctioning, I am more than happy to have them printed out in the Career Center. The other option is that they can they sign up on their phone, they can take a screenshot on their phone and they can show that to their teacher, and their teacher will write them a planner pass to come down to the Career Center. The college representatives who are visiting Hayfield are most likely the person who's actually going to read your child's application. Which means if they make a good impression, they make a connection, and perhaps they have some specific questions, that college representative may likely remember them when they're reading their application. Before I came to Hayfield, I actually worked in higher ed for 2 different universities. And I remember making notes about students and then getting excited when I would see their application. So that is one thing. The other thing that I think I get asked the most as far as colleges go is how do I find scholarships? So you go back to that colleges tab there, down to scholarships and money, and you look at the scholarship list. So this is a list of every scholarship that I know about that is accepting applications right now at 6:54 on September 20th. So you can see the list. How many of you who went to college straight out of high school remember your parents sending you to the library to that horrible 5-inch binder and flipping, right? Your kids have the internet. They have no idea how easy it is, so they cannot complain about finding scholarships because it's all right on their phones. So let's say that I'm interested in the Coca-Cola Scholars Program. I can click on it here, and I can find out what the requirements are. I can see who the contact person is if I have questions. And then the application will be either right here on a website or in a PDF or Word document. It also tells you what the maximum award is and gives you a description. If there are any additional qualifications, minimum GPA, anything like that, they will all be on here. Because this is an active list, that means that if you look at this list 2 weeks from now, it may look different. And when you look at this list in November, it will probably be completely different. So I told your students last week that they should be looking at this list about once a week if they can. And the biggest time saver for this, I don't know if you can see this from your seats, but there's a little button that says, only show me new since my last visit. So it knows the last time they logged in, and it'll only show them the new thing, so they don't have to page through all 48 every time and try to remember which ones they've looked at. So that will save them quite a bit of time. I want to show you 2 career things in here. In the About Me section, it's in my stuff, there's a resume builder in here. Whether they're going to college or career or military, they probably are going to need a resume at some point. In fact, Mrs. Paul, who teaches our economics and personal finance class, came to me yesterday and said she's making all of her students in her classes use this resume builder. So know that that is available if they need to do a resume. And they can print and export it as well. Also in About Me in Assessments, this Strengths Explorer is a fantastic tool. I have a lot of parents that say, well, I need my student to take a career test. This is a great one. This is, how many of you have ever taken Strengths Finder? This is Strengths Finder for kids. So it tells them what their strengths are, and then it relates careers to those strengths. Fairfax County purchased 1 assessment per student in Fairfax. So if your student has already taken this, on their own somehow in a class, maybe you'll be able to see the results if you go into Strengths Explorer. If they haven't taken it, they'll be able to take it, but they can only take it once. So I tell them, make sure you take it seriously when you do. And I actually tell them that on Thanksgiving, if people are really bothering you, you can say, I'm going to go take a career quiz and go upstairs and do this. So hopefully, if you hear them say that, you can check and see if they actually did. All right, so we are going to go back into our PowerPoint here, and this is where we are going to take a quick 3-minute break here. And if you want to hear information about NOVA and Pathway to the Baccalaureate, financial aid, Year Up, apprenticeships or the military, you're going to go to the library, and the way you get to the library is to go down this hallway right here and just follow the hot pink signs, and those people are waiting for you. If you choose to remain here, you will hear information about the 4-year college application process, financial aid, NOVA, and then we also have a keynote speaker from Elon University who will be giving you some tips and tricks. So NOVA will be in both rooms, and it's up to you to decide. If you have 2 people here, you can divide and conquer, and one person goes to one session and one person stays here. And we are taking videos of tonight's program, so if all of the technology works right, these will be uploaded onto my YouTube channel within the next week so that you will be able to see videos. But I'm hoping that I will have some people go to the library session because we asked everybody to come tonight. This is an experiment. We've never done it before, so I'm hoping that some people will be interested. So 3-minute break, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Stand up and stretch if you want to.
Really the college process, 4-year college, we'll talk about NOVA and Pathway a little bit. We'll have Mr. Barry Bradbury here from Elon University speak a little bit, financial aid, and then some parent advice. So go ahead and get started. So first, just a big map of schools. I think a lot of times students get kind of stuck in hearing about a few schools, and specifically in Virginia, because we're here, we have a lot of great schools in Virginia, but they get stuck with just a few schools, just to show them that there are an abundance of schools, and this is only a fraction. And I actually had to name out a few schools, and most of them they could name. There was even a few that I couldn't name though, like the Jacks. I don't know what Jacks is. There's a few of them in there that I wasn't sure, but just to get you guys going, prepared. So, what are we looking for in a college? Knowing yourself and finding a perfect fit for you. That's a really big piece of information, a big topic to have with individual students. Not every student is going to be the same in what they're looking for in colleges and what they want, whether the size of the school, location, the academic programs. So it's going to be an important part of the process for students, figuring out what exactly they're looking for in schools, where they want to go, before they can really start the application process, because you don't know where to apply until you have somewhere to apply to, right? So as we have students, we talk to students about knowing yourself, taking a look at your academic scores, your SATs and ACT scores, whether they line up with the schools that you're looking at, taking a look at your GPA. Financial assistance options is always a huge point of topic for the students. I always tell students, it's a hard topic to have, conversation to have, but have that conversation about finances. It's an important conversation. I always tell students it'd be disappointing to find a school that you absolutely love, the dream school, to find out down the road that maybe financially it's not going to work. So it's an important conversation to have early on with your student, and your student should be having it with you so they can know where to look. Is it in-state? Can we look out of state? Can we look at private schools? Are we looking at just public schools? So there's a variety of different options in terms of finances. Selecting the college, first, make sure the college you're looking at has the academic programs they're looking for, right? They are going to college, yes, for an experience, but at the same time, they're going to college to learn, to eventually when they graduate, to go on to join the profession that they like to join. So make sure that the college has the program they're looking for. Location, are we talking about super far away? Oftentimes when I ask students who's trying to get as far away as possible, a lot of hands shoot up. And I'm sure if I were to ask you guys, how many of you guys want your students to get as far away as possible? A lot of hands would probably shoot up also. But the reality of it is that It's always add to the financial costs, right? If we're looking at a school in California, Oregon, Alaska, we have to keep in mind that coming back and forth is going to be an expense. We won't be able to come back as often. So that's something that I tell the students to keep in mind. Yeah, it sounds great, but realistically, where does that fit? We're also looking at the location in terms of, we're looking for a school within a city, like laid out in the middle of a city, like George Washington University, VCU, where you're walking through a city, and you're seeing campus building, apartment building, a commercial building, campus building, right? Or we're looking for a campus that's secluded in itself, where you know you're on campus and that's it. Size, we're looking for a smaller school, bigger school. There are schools out there that are smaller than Hayfield. Hayfield has about 2,100 high school students. There are some schools out there that have 1,100 students, smaller than Hayfield. And there are plenty of schools that have 20, 30,000 students. So it's about knowing, am I okay with being on a campus where I'm going to know everybody on campus? Or is it okay if I'm on a campus where I'm going to be pretty much a number? The size of the school, obviously the bigger schools tend to offer a lot more programs just because they have the resources to do so. But those small schools are great for some of the students. Just especially they know they don't need a big school. They don't need to be surrounded by a lot of people. Admission requirements, obviously we're going to look at that. We'll talk about that a little bit. But again, that's going to be more the test scores, their GPA scores, do they require letters of recommendation, do they require resumes, those variety of different things. Tuition, like I said, it's important to have that conversation with the students. The student activities goes along with the size of the school a lot of times, but some students, do I want to go to a school that's big into sports? That's really important to me. Am I going to a school that's big into theater or arts? Is that important to me? All the different schools are going to have different clubs and organizations. A lot of times that kind of match up with the school organization and clubs that we have here at Hayfield. So there's a club that they like here at Hayfield and they find one at the school. That could be something that could lead them to that college as well. And then obviously, what career opportunities they can offer down the road. So this kind of just goes through all of the aspects of what can make a perfect fit for each individual student. And like I said, each student can be different. There's not going to be one school that's for everybody. There's not going to be one school that matches everybody else. There will be a school for everybody though. So applying to colleges. The process takes time. It can be difficult. I often tell students that this is something that should be starting early on. They have their 7 classes. Oftentimes, applying to colleges is almost like an 8th class. You know, they have all their work that they have to do in school, they have their homework, their readings, and on top of that, they're going to have to apply to colleges, write essays, and do the research. So it's almost like an 8th class. So the earlier they start off, the more time they have, and the better off their application will be when it comes time to submit it, because they have really taken time to be deliberate in their application. So the ways we apply to colleges, everything is like Ms. Ferguson was saying, we have the internet now, so everything is done electronically. There are 3 ways to apply to schools. One is the school itself may have their own individual application on their website. You log in, you go onto the college website, you log into their portal, their application portal, and you follow the instructions that they have, kind of go through the whole process. Separately, so that's one way. The next 2 ways are very similar, but they're just 2 different competing organizations, essentially. So we have the common application, and we have the coalition application. They both do essentially the same thing in terms of being able to fill out a lot of basic information once, and then being able to apply to multiple schools at one time. So both the common app and the coalition allow for this. You put in your personal information, and then from there, you're selecting the schools that you would like to apply to, and following the instructions for that individual school within that website. They're both accepted at a variety of different schools. Many schools accept both. The one exception, especially for us, the one exception is Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech only takes the coalition application. In years past, they were doing their own application, and they were common app, and now they are solely coalition. So if your student is intending on applying to Virginia Tech, they'll have to create a coalition account. And once you get in there, you'll see a lot of the bigger schools, JMU's in there as well. So you'll see a lot of the bigger schools that are using the coalition application as well. The last thing I'll say about the Common App specifically is that we opt out of the online recommendation forms that we need to that are required or requested. As they go through, they'll say, they'll get the notification, students will get the notification, they'll say, print these forms out and bring them to your counselor. We don't submit any of the recommendations, we don't submit anything online. We do everything old-fashioned, paper, through the mail. So we will be submitting everything via the mail, if it's a comment at school especially. And they will be required to print out those forms. There will be a prompt on the application that will say, print out the form and bring them to your counselors. So just as a heads up, the counselors will not do anything electronically in terms of recommendations. For teachers, though, they will do it. The teachers may do online recommendations. That's their own decision. So these are the parts that are required for the application. Obviously, first, the application itself. That is the other point, just about finding where the application is, whether it's on the school website, coalition, or Common App. Application fee. Unfortunately, as you guys will notice, or if you have, very quickly, or maybe you haven't noticed already, essentially every part of this, every step of the way, has some kind of fee. Applying to colleges itself is expensive, let alone then paying for college down the road, right? So every application, for the most part, is going to have a fee. Those fees can range from $30, $40 up to $70, $80, $90. So it can add up. So this is a big reason why I tell students often to make sure you're being deliberate in the schools that you're applying to. Don't just select 10, 15 different schools and apply to them, because those fees can add up quickly. So be deliberate in the amount of schools that you're applying to. If your family does qualify for free or reduced lunch, we do have application fee waivers that are available, and those can be available through your counselor. The secondary school report. That is a form that we use the NACAC form. It's an organization, a college organization. So we use that form to submit the secondary school report. That is something that we're filling out with your students right now over the next week through when we meet with them on an individual meeting. So we'll sit them down, we'll fill it out together. It'll have some basic information about the school, their GPA, the percentage of students that are going through four-year college, and so on. But it's something that we're filling out with all of your students over the next week when we meet with them individually. That will be submitted with the transcript as well. The transcripts, in a couple slides, I'll show you guys how to request a transcript. We've shown this to the students, but just for you guys to be aware of the process as well. Standardized test scores, SATs and ACTs, fun. Those, a lot of schools do require them. There is a growing list of schools that do not require SATs or ACTs anymore. That list can be found on a website, fairtest.org. And it's a growing list of schools that no longer require SATs or ACTs, as long as you meet the minimum GPA requirement for that school and perhaps some other requirements as well. That's going to depend on each individual school. But those standardized test scores are going to be the responsibility of the student to get sent out to the individual colleges. That is not something that counselors will be doing or here at Hayfield. It'll be the student's responsibility to go on to the College Board website or ACT student website to request their scores to be sent out to each individual college. And again, there's a fee that goes along with it. Essays, personal statements. Every college is going to have their own individual either essay, personal statement, short answer response. One of the good things I'll let you guys know is that here at Hayfield, one of the first assignments that we're working on right now in the fall in the English classes is a personal statement or a college essay. So it'll be an opportunity for students to work on a personal statement and a college essay, get some feedback from a teacher, get some feedback from other students in their classes to work on it so that when it comes time to apply to college, they know that at least their essay has been reviewed by other people. So it's something that we'll be working on through their English class over the next few weeks, I believe. Letters of recommendation if they are required. That's a big one. A lot of schools, maybe about 50-50 schools will require essay, letters of recommendation. The schools themselves will tell you who they want recommendation from. It'll say teacher recommendation. It'll say counselor recommendation. It may say counselor and teacher recommendation. In the past, I've even seen, for like scholarships, peer recommendations. That's very rare, but generally, counselor teacher recommendation is what they're looking for. What I tell students about that one is to make sure before they request a letter of recommendation from either teacher or counselor that the schools that they are applying to require them. I tell them that how I can get them to relate to that is, it's as if their English teacher were to ask them to write an essay. They write the essay, they come and turn it in that day, and the teacher turns around and says, just kidding, I'm not going to grade it, I don't really want it. So the students picked up on it, like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I tell students that they need a letter of recommendation to make sure that they need that, and to make sure that they know who they're asking the letter from. The other thing is that one letter, a counselor can send a letter to multiple schools. If they're applying to 5 schools and they need 5 recommendation letters, they don't have to ask 5 individual people. It can be the same person sending the letter to fill all those different schools. And then the last resume supplemental material, that'll be dependent on each individual school. There's a website, the application will tell you, we need this information as well, submit your resume, and so on. Just quickly follow up on the SAT and ACT. If your student has not taken the SAT or ACT and the schools that they are applying to require them, here are the future test dates that are left right now in the fall. There is an October 6th day for SAT. The regular registration is already passed. The late registration is coming up next week on Wednesday. There will be a late fee for that as well. The ACT, but after that, there is a test in November, and the regular registration on October 5th. And then the ACT, October 27th, that has information up there as well. In your packet, the 3rd page of your packet has that information of the SAT and ACT, the dates and everything. The one thing about that is schools accept both the SAT and ACT. They don't have a preference. There is no, we prefer this one over that one. They'll take both SAT and ACT. So either one is completely okay. So we've gotten to, we figured out how the whole process, we found the school, we figured out the process, and we've taken the SATs. The last point is going to be how to request a transcript. Those grades, how do colleges get their grades from us? So in the last 2 pages of your packet, there are going to be 2 forms that are going to be required in order to request a transcript. The second to last page is an FTPS form that every student that's requesting the transcript has to get filled out one time. It's a one-time deal, and that's it. If your student is 18, they can sign it themselves. If they're under 18, it has to be signed by a parent. The last page is going to be the transcript request form for Hayfield. It's a front and back form. On there, they're going to submit their name, their student ID. They'll have to get it signed by you as well if they're under 18. On the back is where they'll be able to list their colleges. It'll have different columns and different rows, but you'll see that the row that has the name of the college and the address. It'll have the date of when their college application is due. So November 1st, December 1st, January 15th, whatever it is. Whether the school is a Common App school, a coalition school, whether they're applying early action, early decision, or regular decision, which I'll touch on in a couple slides. And then they can submit it to us. That form needs to be submitted for every transcript request. As you can see, the form has 4 slots for 4 different schools, so they can submit up to 4 schools on each individual transcript request form. But if they need more than that, they have to get additional forms. The first 3 transcripts are free. After that, each additional transcript that's requested will have a $5 fee for processing. And the last thing, on the bottom of that form, you'll see the deadline for when the transcript requests have to be submitted by. So we do ask that the transcript request be submitted at least 3 weeks prior to when the college application is due. That gives us time to process the application, the transcript, and get it submitted in time for the due date. And especially if you're requesting if the student's requesting a recommendation letter, it gives us plenty of time to work on that recommendation letter and make sure it's the best it can be. But I tell students, if we didn't have that date, 10 students come to me 3 days before the application is due, I can't write 10 good letters in 3 days. So that's what the point is, so that's why we ask for 3 weeks in advance. So how to request a letter of recommendation? If a student needs a letter of recommendation, and this is going to be solely for the counselors, teachers are going to have their own different process. Every teacher is going to be different. So that'll be a conversation with the teacher that they request a letter from. But for counselors, they will need to submit a student input information form that can be found on the Hayfield website under Student Services and College Application Worksheets. But there is a student information form that they will have to submit to us. It's electronic, it's about 10 questions, really about themselves, and get them thinking and give us more information about who they are. We're gonna know our students really well by this point anyways, but it gives us information that maybe they haven't shared with us in the past. A different look at our students. Additionally, there'll be a parent brag form. This is gonna be your time to brag about your student. Talk to us about your student. Share information. Students can sometimes be kind of humble, and they maybe think that something is not a big deal, and then we find out from the parent, like, wow, that's huge. I wish they had told us this. So this is your time to be able to give us additional information so that we can then add that to the letter as well. Again, we're asking for 3 weeks. It's just to give us plenty of time to be able to write the letter effectively. And then, again, Common App recommendation letters, we will be submitting those hard copy. We will not be submitting those electronically. Deadlines. So along with the fees everything has a deadline. And missing that deadline, I tell students, is a silly way to not get into the school you want to get into, not get the money that you're trying to get. So following the deadline is going to be a key and important part of this process for students. An effective way is to create a huge Excel sheet of everything they're doing, right? So have all the different college names on there, the deadlines of when the application is due, and have different columns where have I requested the letter, have I requested the transcript, have I done the personal statement, and so on. The deadlines, in some way, keeping track of the deadlines is going to be an important thing. Maybe have a big whiteboard in the kitchen or somewhere in the house that everybody can be on top of the deadlines. But there will be a deadline for that college application, for the transfer request, for the ACT registration. Scholarship deadlines are going to have different deadlines, and those will start coming up sooner than you think. Like Ms. Ferguson touched on with the list, there are a good amount of scholarships available now, and that will change throughout the year as they kind of close out. And then the FAFSA and the CSS profile, those are going to have different deadlines depending on the schools generally. Admissions deadlines, there are 4 different types of admissions deadlines. While we have different dates, there are 4 different types of applications, I guess I should say, really. So the first one's going to be early decision. That one's going to be the first one coming up, usually. Early decision is generally November 1st, October 15th, maybe. Some of them are a little bit later, maybe December 1st. But what it is the students are applying early, and they're finding out early. So they apply maybe in November, they find out in December, beginning of January. The same with early action. They apply early, they find out maybe end of February, end of December, beginning of January. The difference between the early decision and early action. Early decision is you can only apply to one of those schools, only one early decision school, and if your student gets into that school, they are going there. They are signing a contract prior to applying to early decision school saying that if I get into this school, this is the school I'm going to attend. There's no way of backing out of that at that point. Early action, so they can only apply to only one early decision school. Early action, the difference is that you're applying early and there is no contract. You can apply to as many early action schools as you would like, and then still have the freedom to choose which school you'd like to go to after you hear back from them. After that, we have regular decision. Those are going to be more in January, February. Generally, the basic timeline, right? By January, February, find out March, April. And then last is going to be rolling decision. Rolling decision is you are applying throughout the year and then letting you know throughout the year. So maybe you apply in December, you find out beginning of January, or if you apply in February, find out beginning of March. There is no set deadline, but you're applying and they're letting you know throughout the year. And as the year goes on, that pool is shrinking though. So while it's good because you don't have a set deadline early on, the bad thing is that the students who are applying the students who are applying later are competing for fewer and fewer slots in the application pool. So they're going to be the 4 different types of applications. Again, they're each going to have their own date deadline, and that'll be important to note on the individual websites. This is just a recap of the responsibilities from the student and the counselor responsibilities. Really, the big thing, the students are the ones that are going to college, right? I don't think anybody is planning on going to college with their student. That's going to be them. So really, this process should be on the student. It's great that you guys are here, find out all this information because, yeah, they're going to need help. They're going to need that support. but really they should be the ones in the driver's seat. They should, and while you guys are in the passenger seat, kind of being their navigator. So the student responsibilities are going to be completing the application. It's going to be for them to complete. I've heard horror stories of parents helping them out and accidentally inputting their own information. And then that's an awkward call when you have to call the school to let them know. So that's why it's definitely important for students to be filling out those applications themselves. The application fees, again, that's going to be their responsibility. Requesting the scores, SATs and ACT scores to be sent out to colleges. That's not something that Hayfield's doing, that's something that the student has to do as well. And then providing counselors 3 weeks in advance a request form, the consent form for those last 2 pages in the packet. And then we'll be doing the secondary school report with them. And then for us, once we get that packet of information, the transfer request form, the consent form, and we've been asked for a recommendation letter from the student, we will go ahead and work on the letter, and we'll be submitted to the transfer secretary who will send it out. So once we get that transfer form from them, and we have all the information we need, we will be responsible for getting everything sent out, and it will get sent out on time. So we won't have to worry about that afterwards. And that's really it for the 4-year college process. I know it's a lot of information. We're going to go to questions towards the end, but we're going to go ahead and pass it on to Ms. Zawaz that we're talking about, NOVA, and then the Pathways program.
Thank you. Good evening. I had coffee as you guys were walking in, so I have a ton of energy. Hello. So my name is Amy Swazo, and I'm the Pathway to Baccalaureate counselor assigned here to Hayfield. Assigned here at Hayfield, but first and foremost, I'm a Northern Virginia Community College employee, so I'm here to support students with the NOVA process and also with our Pathway to Baccalaureate program, so I'm going to talk about both and do a little smooth introduction to FAFSA information. So what you'll see on here are the different opportunities that we have at NOVA for students depending on what their plan is. So we do offer programs that transfer to 4-year universities, which is why most students choose to attend NOVA as a stepping stone to the 4-year university. But we also offer programs that do not transfer and prepare students for the work field. So hands-on job training, where students can earn an associate's degree or a certificate and be marketable in the work field. But our most popular option is our transfer programs that we offer. So at NOVA, students are doing the same coursework in that 2-year time frame, 2 to 3 years, that a student is doing at a 4-year university at a lower cost, closer to home, different advantages and disadvantages depending on the student's goals, financial options for the student. So this just has some information on here. We are an open admission college, so some of the things that Enrique covered don't apply towards the Northern Virginia Community College admission process. When a student applies to the college, they are automatically accepted. That's our open admission process. Students can submit SAT or ACT scores as a way to go around some of our placement testing requirements that we have to get into specific classes. The application is free, there's no essay included with it at all. So the admissions process is very simple to submit and have a NOVA ID and be admitted. But there are several steps after that with programs like Pathway to Baccalaureate or first-year advisors that work with all other students to help them transition into college. So the FAFSA process, the academic advising, setting academic goals and helping them transition to college. But the application process doesn't require as many things as all the other 4-year schools. So specifically Pathway to Baccalaureate, which is the program that I work for, we are very specialized in the population of students that we work with while we're here. But again, I'm assigned to Hayfield and 4 other schools, so I'm only here on Fridays. And starting at the end of October, I will be here every Friday working with students and giving them information about our program. We will have an information session on October 2nd for students during the school day, and there is a flyer for the info session in your packet, along with a flyer for the Pathway program if it's something that you want to pass on to your student to get some more information about. But we do require an application process. It's a paper application the students would get from their counselors when they're presenting some of these post-secondary options in their courses.
So they will tell them about our program for students who are seniors interested in attending NOVA. They may have some barriers to attending college. They may need more additional support to get to the to the 2-year and then to the 4-year university process. So things like low income, because we have additional grants that we can support students with our programs. First time to college, first generation college students, ESOL students, several barriers, students who may have more hands-on support in the classes that they're taking now, that just need that additional support in transitioning to the community college. So we are just one of many programs at NOVA to support students. So not everybody needs the Pathway program, but for the students that do, they apply to our program. Our application deadline is November 9th, so they would need to submit an application along with an essay to their counselor. The counselor attaches a recommendation form, their class schedule and transcript to me, and then we review those applications and notify students before the winter break. We kick off our program in January, and what we do is monthly workshops with the students, usually in the Career Center, working closely with Mrs. Ferguson to cover all the steps, but not all at once. So starting with the NOVA admissions application, hands-on with the FAFSA process, or other resources for students who aren't eligible for the FAFSA funds, supporting students with advising, understanding the process, and even enrolling students one-on-one before they graduate. So the goal for the students in our Pathway program are to have everything they need to be ready for that first semester at NOVA before they graduate high school. But for the ones that aren't ready by the end of the school year, I still continue to work with them over the summer at the NOVA campuses. And once they are enrolled as students, we work with staff on campus who are also Pathway counselors that we hand the students off to. And they remain in the program at NOVA, working with those counselors every single semester that they're enrolled. So they have to be with those counselors to enroll for classes, so they're working constantly with their plan, their needs that they have at the college. And then we also have counselors at George Mason, so for the students who decide to go there, we have a large number of students that transfer there, Pathway students and just non-Pathway students at NOVA. They can continue to receive that guided support until they transfer or graduate from NOVA. So it's a really great program, but not all students need our program to get to NOVA or the 4-year process. So depending on your students' needs, the counselors will work with them and maybe recommend our program, but they're more than welcome to submit an application for us. That was it. Oh, my contact information is up here. My email, I almost forgot. I have a really early flight tomorrow, so I'm not going to be able to stick around for the Q&A. But my email is on here if you want to snap a photo of it. I'm more than happy to answer questions about the NOVA process, the Pathway to Baccalaureate program, and when I'm here servicing students at Hayfield, I work and answer questions for students who aren't in our Pathway program as well, because we don't want to turn them away. We want to support those students too, but more hands-on with the students in our program.
It's a real pleasure to be here at Hayfield. This is my 43rd year in higher education, so basically I'm Dick Clark of admissions. I really had a great time. I enjoyed coming out here. I've seen every renovation the school has had. I'm surprised I haven't named a wing after me somewhere. My job tonight is to calm me down. You've had a lot of great information already from the counselors. And the whole thing is, this is a process. I've noticed for some people, it's the very first go off to college. Some of you had several. I was in school with UVA, Charlottesville on Monday night, and there was one family, it was the fourth to go off to college. I said, good grief, man, you write a book, and book signing at Barnes & Noble. You really know what you're doing. They look pretty decent, too. They didn't wear out from the whole ordeal. But what I want to do is really go over a few things that I've already mentioned that can possibly help you out a little bit. One of the problems you run into is that families are really in a hyper state right now. Matter of fact, it's kind of scary in a way because the way the press has run away with things and the way people hear things, that some students say, I'll never have an opportunity to go to college, I'll never be able to afford it, but they don't know where to start. Well, one of the things that makes it happen is that one of the exercises I like for parents and students to do, I like for students to put a list of schools together. Parents, you put a list of schools together and you switch the lists. What's interesting, when a parent reads the students list or a number of schools on your students list, you'll say to yourself, I would have sent my dog to obedience school to that school 20 years ago, and guess what? That school is selective all of a sudden. So every school has changed, everything has gotten better. So it's one of those things I just ask you to be open-minded, because some of the schools that were just basically there are now members of Phi Beta Kappa. There's some other schools that have really gone from 2-year to 4-year. There's some amazing things going on in higher education right now, and what you have in front of you is a great adventure. Also, the types of schools, 2-year, 4-year, many of you will be off in graduate. When I talk to students that say you'll be in graduate school 3 years after undergraduate, they say, sure. No, you really will. And the nice thing is, up here in the greater Northern Virginia area, there's some incredible schools here, and most likely when students come back, they go to graduate school in the Northern Virginia area. Also, there's a great deal of anxiety about a major. You know, right now, the top 3 majors will be pre-law, pre-med, pre-engineering. The pre-law students are bashful speakers. The pre-med students faint at sight of blood. And the pre-engineering students aren't very fond of math. But they're the easiest thing to talk about at your family reunion. You know, you have to have something to talk about, because when it comes to that point, they don't know what to ask the young people this day and time. So what's your major? They go this way. Well, one of the things that's so fortunate being up here in Northern Virginia, you all have career centers, where in many places in the Commonwealth of Virginia and in North Carolina, we do not have career centers. And Ms. Ferguson does a real fine job of allowing any college university in the country that's accredited to have at least 30 minutes in the career center. So students have an opportunity to come by and sign up and talk to us. Well, in other parts of the state, they do not have career centers, they have career units. And a career unit is basically where they bring young professionals like some of you in the audience that are either lawyers, doctors, engineers, architects, and you come in and you volunteer a week out of your life or a day out of your life to talk about your occupation. So generally, whenever we would go into these spaces in Virginia, we would go to the college fairs, and whatever was the major of the day, that's what every student would ask us the very first time. The year that was most memorable for me was the year that someone had an opportunity to talk to all the students about majoring in radiology. Radiology. There are not a handful of schools in the country that have radiology, and it's X-ray technicians, technology, this and that and the other. So when we go to the college fairs, if you notice when we have the fair here at Hayfield, and we have it at Fairfax Mall, you know, we're all in a line, we all look alike, everybody wears the blue blazer and the khaki pants, and we all look alike. But the whole thing is, you know, people ask the same questions. Well, for 2 days when I was on the tour, people would come up to me, do you have radiology? No. Well, second day, 2 o'clock, Clintwood High School, rolled in there, and a student came up to me and said, do you have radiology? I said, no, sir. He said, do you have football? I said, yes, I do. He said, I'll fill out your card. So he started filling out my college day card. My curiosity got the best of me. I said, why do you want to major in radiology? He said, people say I have a great voice. I'll be a great sports commentator on the radio. He combined, you know, he confused broadcast communications with radiology. I mean, how many people miss out on a great job in ESPN and not having radiology? So what is really funny, that students who come to the college fairs and make up these wow majors that maybe only 2 in the entire country, and you know, it's something where the education they have in going to the Career Center, they can really find out about the majors. So that's something we want to help students do. Also, one of the top areas on university campus right now would be academic advising. If you're trying to find a school that really has not just a winning football team and a great athletic program, this, that, and the other, but having academic advising is absolutely essential, because basically our goal is to get them going in 4 years. 4. Do y'all like that number? 4. And it's quite possible, because many of the schools, they have an AP, IB, dual degree credit. Students come in very well prepared. And it's really interesting to see how this process will work. Now, also in the process of applying, there's so many students who feel they need to scatter the world with a pile of applications to see what happens. Also, you saw the ways you can apply the online, the institutional application, the coalition, and the common app. And it's really funny how each application is somewhat similar. Most of the time, the front part's biographical. It's being nosy just to find a parent or a relative that attended that particular university. The second part is the counselor's evaluation, which in any way, shape, or form, when evaluations come from the high schools, they're very, very positive because of the parent brag sheet. I think that's very, very helpful. Teacher recommendations. Kind of interesting about the teacher recommendations. The one thing that students need to avoid is the teacher that has a reputation of being the Betty Crocker famous Amos cookie cutter recommendation writer. Y'all know where I'm going with this one? Your name, the wrong college name, signature at the bottom. Oh, it's just great. But it's really something where, if a student's going to have a teacher write a recommendation, it's best to have them get the profile of the school, give it to the recommender, and have them send that off. But it's really kind of funny. We do not require a teacher recommendation when we do the counselor's recommendation. The other one is a huge rumor that join 4 clubs the fall semester of your senior year in high school and you're really impressive addition people. Y'all heard that rumor? It's on the internet. It's got to be true, right? But most schools are looking for 3 major activities and a major participant consistently for 3 years or 1 activity that rocks your world. It might be fine arts, athletics, scrapbook, fishing, whatever it is. And the thing is, though, it's where a person has a passion. Also, another thing, there are a lot of students who feel if they haven't had an overseas mission trip halfway across the world, nothing is going to stand out. That is absolutely incorrect. Local, sincere service in the greater Alexandria area is fine. That's basically what schools, it's sincere, you heard sincere, that really makes a big difference. So students are not penalized by not having a great service trip. Now, if you have community service where you're wearing blaze orange, reading trash on the side of the road, I don't know if you want to know about that. But good service, we're looking for that. Boys State, Girls State, Governor School, things like that, summer camps and things like that, athletic and academic. And then work, we value work. Find students show up on time, they have a pleasant appearance, they play well with others. Because many of you want your sons and daughters to have jobs on campus, they want to have an internship or a co-op experience, they must have some type of experience. It may not happen until they turn 18 and they are actually able to find a job at Waivers or Five Guys or something like that. It's work, but it is something that's used as a reference. And then the last thing, which a lot of people don't really understand how important it is, depending upon the school, would be the essay. The essay is taking on a little more importance because it's a situation where a student has a chance to express themselves. And this past February, I had an opportunity to have one of those thoughtful moments that really helped a student out, where I was reading a final deadline application, and it got to the point where it said essay, and I said, what is the essay? And it said, do it. And I said, wow, that is really cool. Just do it, wish, 90. Well, I called the high schools, one of them up here, and I asked the counselor to get the young man out of class and say, can we have an opportunity to talk to this young man about his essay? Sometimes the personal statement is the essay, so I didn't want to get the student penalized for that, so I started reading, I said, is this your personal statement? He said, yes, my personal statement. He said, what did I write for my essay? I said, do it. He said, oh, that was a reminder for me to do it. Well, 15 minutes later, he shot the application out to me. I accepted him, got some great praise up here in Northern Virginia. They're very reads applications. So it was one of those situations where, in the case, it really helps us, and I think it does make a difference. Personal statement optional, I think you heard that again. Optional code word for what? Do it. There's a third thing. One of my colleagues, Mildred Johnson, who's at Radford, we do a lot of speaking together, and one of the things we've come up with is called Explain, Don't Complain. An explain, don't complain from the student sends a sheet of paper to a dean or a vice president at any university in the country, explain any unusual circumstance you've had. 3 different high schools in 2 years with overseas health issue. And the pitiful thing about the piece of paper is that parents are writing emails, signing students' names to them, sending them to admissions offices. In essence, that's really an honor violation, but we're not going to be picky about that. But what will happen, if I had you all on the admissions committee right now, you would find, by reading applications, especially when your profiles are so solid, 75% of all applicants are clearly acceptable, but 25% of those students, you're saying to yourselves in unison, what in the daylights is going on with this student? Well, the essays, your epic novel, your feature film, your personal statement options, your public service announcement, your commercial, it brings it in, brings it on home, and helps schools make good decisions. Also, I'm a little annoyed with some of the schools right now that come into the Career Center or you meet them at the college fair, and they really have a little bit of attitude. A little bit of attitude. They have their nose so far in, they had pipe in sunshine and oxygen, and actually they're doing a favor to have you in their audience when you have a chance to speak to them. They have a grid on a PowerPoint. Here's GPA, here's the SAT. Don't hit both points. Complete my ring, please. No one should have that type of an attitude. I really feel that our philosophy, those who have been in it for a while, we're trying to find reasons to accept students. And when you have a chance to go through and do this, it really makes sense. The other big question, let me ask you all a very personal question. We have a small group here. How many of y'all have obnoxious relatives? You didn't expect that, did you? How many have obnoxious relatives at your last family reunion? There was someone in your family bragging about their son or daughter having a higher grade than your son or daughter. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. You got annoyed, but you didn't do anything crazy. So you got back in the car, you beat the steering wheel. But the thing is, the truth always endures. Yes, this person has a higher grade point average, but they've had metal shop, wood shop foods for the family. They can bake a cake, fix a car, build a birdhouse. They've not had advanced placement, international baccalaureate, dual degree credit, nothing like that. So, what your parents tell students, what counselors tell students, we tell the curriculum rules. That really makes a big difference. Also, one of the few things I like to put out to you is to stay in your lane. This is an interesting concept because in so many cases, a parent or a student will say, well, if my son or daughter was at this other high school down the street, they would be the valedictorian. It doesn't work that way, huh? We see who applies, who enrolls, who graduates. That is what counts, really consistency. Most schools who visit Hayfield High School have a history somewhere along the way. I can go back 5 years and find someone that was really a successful person that almost fits the profile of the new person. So it's really something where the advantage of being in admissions for a long time, there is some consistency, and as I said, the reputation of the school is really very strong here, so you have nothing really to worry about from that standpoint. Standpoint of scholarships and financial aid, that's another thing that I think a lot of families are worried. There's more financial aid available now than we've had in many years, and I think the thing where people miss the boat would be on the merit money. There's usually a second deadline for merit money. It's usually called presidential, has some little fancy name to it, but it's something where there's a second application. It involves a writing experience in many cases and may involve an interview. And that's one of the things where students have an opportunity to put their best foot forward and stick it out there. And then there's also many scholarships available now that are really for first-generation college students. Also, one of the areas that might surprise you where schools are recruiting hard would be for people majoring in education. You're going to get a lot of love from schools if you're going to become a school teacher. There's a lot of money out there right now, especially if you sincerely want to do that. And it's really nice to see that we're trying to have people that are stepping up to the challenge, because if we can't educate our young people, I don't know what society's going to be like 20 years from now. So those people looking for education, they're going to have some great experiences. Health sciences, of course, engineering, so many things. And what's so exciting for me is that the students right now, when we graduate from high school and graduate from college, they're going to really have some careers that haven't even been created at the present time. And then in this process, I advise you only apply to 5 schools. Sounds counterproductive. And also, the first thing you're going to do when you start looking at a school, you're going to find a connection student and see who is the lowest person in the class that got in. This is human nature. What you may find is the person that's the first year tuba player for the orchestra, or someone had a connection in North Dakota, because I need someone from North Dakota to come to my school, okay? So they're just little things that might make a difference and make a person end up going to a particular college or university, and you may find that out by just actually visiting the campus and figuring this out. Also, in the process, if you apply to 5 schools, you're getting 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, or 5 out of 5 colleges. This past year was an unusual year. A lot of your friends, sons and daughters were out there, and they were on wait lists, and they never came off any wait lists at all, and they probably ended up at a school they didn't really like that much, but it was kind of like, well, I applied to 10 schools, got wait listed at 5, got wait listed at 6, and they chose the school for one of the most odd reasons in the entire world. And then in the process, there are 3 important things that help students can choose a college. The first thing is, try to find a college that has an academic program that suits you. If you do not see it in their profile, it does not exist on campus. The second is surroundings and people. Have you ever seen a brochure of people with frowns on their faces? Have you ever seen a brochure of buildings in ill repair? Have you ever seen a video where it rains other than the rainforest? No. Beautiful people, bright smiling faces, great videos, great websites. You see and experience, and last, and probably the most important thing, try to find a college that suits your personality. That is key. It works. And what is so amazing, after the student has gone through the entire gauntlet of trying to get into college universities, between April 1st and May 1st, all the process becomes, it's simple, it's just speed dating. Except you're trying to find this college that's going to be your place. I've seen students show up on a campus, they would say, well, man, I recognize that person. I was in kindergarten, and we had a Frisbee that was the same color blue. I'm going to go to your school. Or you had the best fish taco you ever had in the dining hall. I mean, really. It is funny how people choose. My entire career has been tied to likes, dislikes, and hormones of 17-year-old students. Have you ever done that? But the whole thing is for my benefit and for the benefit of the process itself, students are making better choices. They really are. And one of the things I would like to relay to you, there's one thing that is not even on your minds right now, but other than paying for college, you need to figure out what the retention rate is at the university or college your sons and daughters are considering. Retention, the survivability. From the fall semester of the freshman year, the fall semester of the sophomore year, what will it be? The schools where students really have less issues are those who are really 80 to 90% or better. And of the 5 schools that maybe your sons and daughters will be attending, it'll be 90% or better for 3, but 2 of them will barely hit 60%. And your jaw's going to hit the ground and see who they are. Fun places, great athletic programs. They probably gave you a lot of scholarship money, but they're losing half their freshman class and they don't want to talk about it. Academic advising is a big part of this. Student life's a big part of this. But this retention part is very important. If you're looking at a fine arts program, I'd avoid school that says you have to go through boot camp in the fall and see if you're going to be okay after December 1st. Or engineering, we're going to run you in the ground and see who's left after December 1st. I don't think that benefits anyone at all. And the thing is, this is the most talented group of students we've seen go off to college nationally. I mean, I'm just absolutely impressed with this group. And if we have an opportunity to calm everyone down, to have students become part of the process, and parents, as mentioned before, it must be accessible and it must be affordable. And having that frank conversation when it's all said and done, it works. What's so funny for me, have y'all had homecoming yet? All right, when homecoming comes up, you're going to have some students coming in saying, I don't know if I like them there, and this, that, I'm a little homesick. When they come back in December, they laugh about what they were complaining about in the fall. They really do. And my joy of watching college students, I'll see them as high school seniors, I'll see them when they come in the first semester, I'll see them after Christmas, and I won't even recognize them. And it's not the freshman 15. It is basically they've matured, they've gone to the next level. They appreciate family a lot more when they've been on a university campus, And the nice thing is that you're doing all you can to provide for them. We get them on the university campuses, and we do all we can to make sure they have a great experience. And with the process itself, I think you will be very proud of how your sons and daughters are going to be able to handle this. They are really stepping up to make things happen and doing quite well. And for those of us, we are here to help you through the process. What is even interesting with your local universities in this area, you have some fine local universities that can really make a difference to help your son or daughter attend whatever college university it might be. I'm a 2-year junior college prodigy. Went on for 4 years and have a master's degree. I was a person who wasn't sure if I wanted to go to college, but I had someone who pulled me into the ring and said, let's go. And being the first in my family to go to college, I needed some direction. So the process, you're going to do fine. Once June 7th rolls up, go across the stage. Every student going across the stage has a story to tell. And I know they're going to have a very positive story and do quite well in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming, Barry. I appreciate it. So a story, Barry and I go way, way back, more than 20 years back to my rookie year on the road as an admissions person. And I remember in our first training, they said, watch Barry Bradbury. When he packs up and leaves the college fair, then you can leave, but not until Barry leaves. I'm going to give you the 2-minute version of this because you've been sitting here forever and I know we all just want to go home. But I do want to at least touch on paying for college. In your handout, there are a number of different resources available, and so I want to call your attention to them. I'm going to flip back to about halfway back. You will see a flyer that says Financial Aid Night. You have 2 options. The closest one to us is at Mount Vernon High School on Wednesday, October the 25th at 6:30. Your other option, if you don't want to wait another month, is that Lake Braddock has invited us to come to theirs, which is on September 26th, next week at 7 o'clock. You can go to either one of these, it doesn't matter. It's going to be an evening like this with somebody on stage explaining the financial aid process. That needs its own night because I can't tell you all about that in 5 minutes. So I hope that you all will have a chance to come to that. There are also 2 Saturday workshops. If you flip to the next page, we have an organization here in Fairfax called College Access Fairfax. It is a nonprofit organization that helps fund different financial aid awareness programs, both on the middle school and on the high school level. On Saturday, you're probably going to want to go to the one at Edison because I wouldn't drive to South Lakes from here, but that's your business. Saturday, November 17th at Edison High School, there are going to be a number of workshops. You can see them all here. So if you want to see line by line what the FAFSA looks like before you actually fill it out, they're going to walk you through it. If you want to see line by line what the CSS profile looks like, they're going to walk you through it. There's also going to be a scholarship workshop that morning. And from 10 until 2, they will have their computer lab open so that you can sit down in a computer lab with a professional and they will help you fill out your financial aid form. So that's sort of a financial aid extravaganza. And it's on a Saturday, and hopefully it's far enough in advance notice that you will be able to make that happen for your family. They do ask that you register in advance so that they make sure they have enough packets. They have a tendency to have about 25 people register and 200 people show up, and then people get angry that there aren't enough packets. So please register in advance if you can. On the back of that sheet, here are the free FAFSA completion workshops. These are hosted all over Fairfax County. If Hayfield's date doesn't work for you, go to Mount Vernon's or West Potomac's or whoever's works for your family. It's fine. Ours will be on Thursday, November the 8th, so that is the week that the students have Monday, Tuesday off. It's midterm election week. So that Thursday night, we will be in the Career Center from 5 until 7. Bring all your stuff, and we will sit down with you and help you get that FAFSA done. And then on the next page, we talked about her very briefly. We actually have a financial aid specialist here at Hayfield in my room every SOAR time starting on October the 1st. She keeps her own appointment book, so for appointments with her, you're going to want to email her directly, and her email address is right here on the flyer. The back side of that flyer tells you what you need to bring if you're going to come fill out a FAFSA with her. And you have a little bit of homework to do before your appointment, and that is on the bottom side of that. So what the heck is this FAFSA and CSS profile? They are right here. The free application for federal student aid is the United States government's form. If you're getting federal financial aid from any college or university in the country, you're going to have to fill out this financial aid form in order to get it. Notice the first F stands for free. Don't pay anybody to do it. And don't do it until after October the 1st. If you get really excited and you go home and do it this weekend, you did last year's form, and you're going to have to do another one after October 1st. You're also going to redo this form every single year as long as your child is enrolled in college. How many of you have a kid already in college right now? Here's my time-saving tip. Do that kid's FAFSA first. When you submit their FAFSA, you will see it's kind of in tiny print, so you have to look for it. If you have another child for whom you need to do a FAFSA, click here. When you click there, it automatically fills in all of the parent information so that you don't have to do it again. All you have to do is put in second kid's information. So that is your time-saver trick. Do the other one first because your information is saved from the FAFSA that they did last year. Does that make sense? So that will be a big help to you. You are submitting it using 2017 tax information. There are going to be some people whose financial situations drastically change between 2017 and when their child is enrolling in college. If that's you, you're going to want to call the financial aid office and talk to them about your special situation and see what they might be able to do. Sometimes stuff happens, and in most cases, the college can try to work with you and see what they can do to adjust your financial aid package. If your student's applying to UVA, William & Mary, Washington and Lee, University of Richmond, those 4 Virginia universities all require an additional form called the CSS profile. Is there anybody out here who has done that CSS profile before? Anybody? Okay, Mrs. Young has done it. Yes, it's a lovely form, is it not? So it is, I tell kids, it's the FAFSA on steroids. It's a lot harder and a lot longer, so if you feel a little uncomfortable doing it, I highly recommend emailing Mrs. Rousey and doing it with her to help you do it. So that one is also available after October 1st. Scholarships, we already talked about how to find those in Family Connection. And college-specific scholarships, make sure that you are looking at the universities that your child is looking at to find out what their scholarship process is. Sometimes there's an additional form that they have to fill out. Sometimes they have to apply by November 1st or December 1st. So find out what those requirements are and make sure that you position your student for the possibility of scholarships from their university as well as scholarships from outside. Mrs. Mr. Fernandez, I think, touched on this earlier. Students who are on free reduced lunch can get fee waivers, meaning that they can take the SAT and the ACT for free. They come see me to get those fee waivers. They also can apply to college for free, and they get those fee waivers through their counselor. So I am going to wrap up that section. I hope that you will attend one of the upcoming financial aid sessions. We have one more person to talk for 2 minutes. She's a fellow class of 2019 mom, and she has also survived 2 other children's senior years of high school, and in fact has one that just graduated from college in May. So she's gone all the way through this. And so she has a couple of tips, parent to parent, and then we're done.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen Young. I know I am standing between you and home, so I will not take very long. I also have a senior this year. In addition, my oldest son graduated in 2014 from Hayfield and in 2018 from William & Mary. Our daughter graduated in 2017. She took a gap year, and so she's starting her freshman year at Hampton University this year. So I guess if I had any words of wisdom to share, there would be really 4 main topics, some of which they've talked about this evening. One is being organized. That's a really big thing, and while our children are driving this process, we are part of it to support them. And one of the tips I learned from a previous night from a college representative was to sit down and pick maybe 1 hour during the week, whatever day and time that works for you and your child. So you say, okay, every Saturday at 4 o'clock, we're going to sit down and go through where you are in the college process. If you're getting information in, what schools are you looking at? What are your deadlines? Where are you on your essay? Helping to drive them to making sure they're on time and on task, but also we're not driving them crazy, asking, have you turned in your form yet to your counselor? Have you done this? Have you done that? It's kind of a way to check in where they are in control, but we're also in the loop on what's happening, and we're hoping and helping them to stay on top of things. The second thing that has been mentioned over and over is deadlines. The deadlines are really, really important. And I would just say, as a parent, not helping them to not wait until the last minute. If that button has to be pushed to submit their application on December 1st, don't wait till November 31st. If there's a problem, because everyone is waiting until November 31st, the systems can get, can slow down, systems go down as far as computers. Try not to wait until the last minute. In my house, we live by the calendar. If it's not on the wall calendar, it doesn't exist in our world. So whatever works for your family, I would really, really encourage you to make sure you're on top of, helping them make sure they're on top of the deadlines. A big, big thing is using our resources. We have a wealth of resources here at Hayfield. My family's had the opportunity to live in other places, and I will tell you, Hayfield is a true gem. From the counselors to the career center, it's just a plethora of information. The counselors are really here to support our kids and to support our families. Mrs. Ferguson does a great job in the career center. I will say she's one person, and while she is really great about returning calls and emails, she puts a lot of information on our website. So everything is on the website, from YouTube videos to when colleges are coming. The kids can schedule to meet with college representatives. Really, really taking advantage of all that information. And then relying on one another. If we know that a college is coming and my neighbor's daughter is interested, just mentioning, hey, did you know X college is coming to the school, a representative? Or if I hear about a scholarship and I know someone might be interested, making sure that we're sharing information or just bouncing things off of each other to help reality check that we're not the only ones going through and feeling like we're getting bogged down, because it is a lot of information. It's a stressful year for the kids, it's a stressful year for us, but it can be a great process. And then I think if you don't remember anything else from the evening, just breathe. Look at your neighbor, tell them, just breathe. Just remember that, because it's going to be all right, the year is going to be great, and at the end of the year, they're going to end up going to a great school and having a great year. So I wish everyone a successful senior year. Very excited about it for all of our children. And go Hawks.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming. Have a great night.